Hello, my name is Nik Cole and I'm the Islands Restoration Manager for the Durrell Wildlife Conservation Trust and also the Mauritian Wildlife Foundation. And together we work very closely with the government's National Parks and Conservation Service to restore the natural ecosystems on these offshore islands, to restore and protect the Mauritian biodiversity. The islands of Mauritius are incredibly important. We have 49 offshore islands, of which 11 still retain some really important components of the Mauritian ecosystem that used to occur on mainland Mauritius. But about 400 or 500 years ago, as the first settlers arrived in Mauritius, they brought with them a lot of invasive species and started clearing the forests, and it led to the loss of multiple species. By 1986, introduced herbivores from Round Island were removed, and this allowed us to start rebuilding and replanting a lot of the vegetation that had been lost, and this includes many threatened plant species that are struggling on the mainland. The islands, being far more remote and in some cases quite difficult to access, were spared some of the destruction that occurred on mainland Mauritius. And for this reason, they retained remnants of a natural Mauritian ecosystem. However, none of the islands were completely untouched. I'm currently on Round Island to the north of Mauritius, which you can see in the background here, some 22 kilometers away. So Mauritius had goats and rabbits released here sometime in the late 1700s, 1800s, and it virtually denuded the island of its natural vegetation. But because Round Island was remote, it was rarely visited. It was very fortunate and one of very few islands in the world never to be invaded by rats. And for this reason, it managed to retain an incredibly important reptile community that was lost from pretty much elsewhere in Mauritius and could not be found anywhere else in the world. On the islands where we have either removed some of the really problematic invasive species such as rats or introduced herbivores, and are free of a lot of the problematic invasives that are found on the mainland, gives us this wonderful opportunity to start rebuilding and restoring natural Mauritian ecosystems. And this is a process of mostly reintroduction. So bringing back species that used to occur in these islands or in these ecosystems, and starting with a lot of the plant species that have been lost to create the habitats for some of the endemic invertebrates, but also endemic reptiles. And these habitats also are very important for the land birds and also seabirds. So many of the islands around Mauritius, particularly those that are not accessible to people, such as Round Island, Gunners Coin, which are closed island nature reserves, have some of the largest populations of native seabirds in the southwest Indian Ocean. And these are mostly protected due to the presence of staff, the conservation staff working on these islands.